Our court system can be overwhelming for adults, but imagine what it would be like for a child. Luckily, here in Henderson County, there are people stepping into that gap. Hi, this is Mike from Henderson County Now Weinstein Law, and I recently sat down with some folks from Trinity Valley CASA, court-appointed special advocates, to talk about their role in protecting the children of Henderson County.
Very first case I had, I was in training, and basically before I got out of training, they were talking about giving me a case. Over the last 7 years, it's been kind of a landmark. It's been brought up a lot of company meetings, a lot of advertisement and stuff about that particular case. And it was such a learning experience for me, and it turned out to be one of my most successful. 3-month-old going into East Texas Medical Center in another county is diagnosed with fractured skull, brain injuries, all related to a non-accidental trauma. So he went to a children's hospital in Dallas, and there he was diagnosed with a skull fracture running completely around the back of his head, fractures of the ribs, shoulders, and legs, and traumatic brain injuries with bleedings of different ages, different length of time they've been there on both sides of his brain. My supervisor and I went down to visit the foster home, held the baby. He was 3 months old. He's pretty healthy, but his left side was pretty lethargic, almost like an elderly with a stroke. He couldn't hold his head up. So I interviewed his mother and his father, who were unmarried teenagers. Got no satisfaction at all about what had happened to the child. They had recently separated. They were living together, unmarried. This particular child, we could see that there didn't feel like there were any drugs involved in the family. The child was evaluated by ECI, which is a Texas organization, Early Childhood Intervention Services, on his abilities. Everything they evaluated him for, he was either newborn or 2 months, and he was already over 4.5 months old, so his growth is definitely restricted. We had him into a foster home, outstanding family. The mother is awarded visits and services from CPS in an attempt to get her child returned to her. Our first priority is reunification of the family. So I'm making all the visits with mom, and I can see that she does not have the skills. She doesn't understand the extent of his injuries. We go before the judge for 12 months. I'm telling him this every time I go before the bench. I had some very heated arguments with her and her attorneys. I'm insistent that this kid does not go back to his mother. Foster mother was an amazing lady. The child was under Texas Care, of course, Medicaid, all this, and they're sending out therapists to work on him for his speech and his mobility and all this. Very soon it got to the point where they were so short-handed, like all of our service workers, they could only come once a week. So she had them train her as to what needed to be done for the child, all the therapy. She sat down and did 30 minutes of therapy a day for 6 days a week. She let him off on Sunday to go to church. She paid for an all-day seminar in Dallas on childhood brain injuries. She was up there with 20 brain surgeons, just a house mother, to try to help her understand what was going on with this child. We continued on with mom. She's going to the meetings, to the visits, supervised visits once a week. I'm making all the visits. I cannot see any improvement in her. Again, when I get before the bench, I'm telling the judge this. We came to the end of the term, which is 12 months. In 12 months, we have to decide for sure something to do with the child. And mom had finished all of her services. I had already determined that she was an actress. She's playing a part until time is up where she can get the child back home with her. We got to the 12-month interval. The judge was going to return him to the mom. I objected strenuously in front of the bench. We took a break, went to his chambers, calmed down, At the end of the day, he returned her to the child to his mother, with the understanding that we would add 6 months onto that so we could keep a check on him for another 6 months. It's called a monitored return. She was supposed to live with a grandmother and a retired aunt, registered nurse, retired aunt, so they could help her with the child in another county. So we did that. She moved in with the grandmother and the aunt. CPS was checking up on him on a regular basis, but they always called ahead to let her know they were coming, which is a requirement for CPS. CASA's not required to do that. When they live with a family member, I can just walk up to the front door and knock on it and say, "I want to see him right now." We're covered by law to do that. I saw on social media, Mom was posting that she had a new boyfriend, and my supervisor and I did some outside work, found his name, checked his criminal records, which we can do as a CASA. He had a felony charge against him and a child endangerment charge against him. To us, that immediately put Mom in a position, if she was going to be with this guy, that she couldn't have the child. She broke all of her, not probation, but she broke all the endorsements that she had signed that she would do with this felon. So I went down to the grandmother's house, knocked on the door, said, "I want to see the kid." Grandmother and aunt said, "Oh my, please come in. We're so glad you're here. We don't know where she is. She doesn't live here. She only comes here when CPS calls and does her little acting thing. As soon as they leave, she goes off." She said, "We think she's running around town everywhere, dragging this kid along with her." I immediately called CPS and told them they need to pick the child up. Mom had broken basically her probation with us and what she was supposed to do with the child. I called the presiding judge's office. He was actually on the golf course, but they gave me his number if I need to call him to issue a bench warrant for picking this child back up. Luckily, the authorities in the city we were in found him pretty quickly, got him, returned him to the foster family, who then applied to adopt him. Mom's decided to relinquish her parental rights, basically to save her boyfriend, because he was on parole, he was a felon, and he could not be within miles of a child like that. So she's given up her parental rights to save this child. The foster family adopted him here in Henderson County. He's a great kid. I mean, he's just full of energy, full of life. I'm amazed at how well he's done. I personally give the family complete credit for where he is. The family gives CASA complete credit for basically saving his life. I'm still in contact with him some, and since that time I've had numerous kids. Some cases turned out that well, some do not. Some are not, some do not end up as well as we'd like them to end up, but I guess that's part of life. The system is broken. The Sunset Committee has said that, it is broken. They just can't stop to fix it. And they recommended that a fix would be to improve and expand CASA as a safety net for these kids. Because, like I say, the legal system is very convoluted. I mean, it's like most legal systems, there's so many as and can do's, and all the parents have a court-appointed attorney. The child has one. I'm not going to say anything against those folks. It's just that we, as CASAs, personally, I didn't ever miss a visit on this kid in 12 months. And we've got CASAs that travel all over the country, when these kids get moved out, to stay with them and make sure that we're dedicated to the child's best interest. The judges will listen to us if it's in the child's best interest. This small-time CASA handled over 720 children last year. That's our 3 counties, Henderson, Palestine, and Jacksonville. 720 kids that without a CASA volunteer, and we support 100% of the kids that come into Child Protective Services in these 3 counties. Cities like Dallas and Austin, some don't even support 15% of the kids. I can tell you horror stories about our volunteers showing up at foster homes and treatment homes where the kids don't have a CASA volunteer, and the things that are going on with those kids because there's nobody checking, nobody looking at them. Every child needs and deserves somebody to be looking out for his interests, because they're totally innocent. It's the parents who do all this to the kids. It's the parents who cause all this. Personally, I think the stuff that I see stays with the kid his whole life. As far as I know, it is one of the most important interventions in the Child Protective Services case.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.